previous lecture, we are discussing DNA fingerprinting, and this is the last lecture in this chapter, molecular basis of inheritance, where we are going to continue the remaining part of DNA fingerprinting. So, children, in the previous lecture, I tried to explain what is traditional fingerprinting. So, what is traditional fingerprinting? So, that is a different era. So, why it was developed for criminal investigation, but then criminals are even smart. So, they are manipulating these fingerprints. Then the scientists worked out and they developed a better technique. So, where manipulations are not possible. That technique is DNA fingerprinting technology. So, not only in terms of forensic science, criminal investigation. So, we in biology also, we can use this DNA fingerprinting technique in many ways for tracing out the evolutionary history, finding out the genetic diversities, finding out the population densities or differences. Many ways we can use this DNA fingerprinting technology also, and the credit goes to the scientist who discovered this technique is Elik Jaffe in the year 1984. So, here this means they cannot manipulate this technique, right? Now, we were telling like instead of doing the complete sequencing of the whole person, which is very expensive and it's very time taking, we were just trying to see the differences between the two individuals. Those sequences are called repetitive DNAs, we told. Repetitive DNA means the name itself is telling they are repeated many times, we are telling, right? So, what are repetitive DNAs? How can you isolate them? When we are trying to isolate them using density gradient centrifugation, the genomic DNA has given a big peak and this repetitive DNA has given a small peak. That is why we call it as a satellite DNA. Now, these satellite DNA, depending upon the base sequences, whether they are AT rich or GC rich, depending upon the number of nucleotides, are they having 5 to 50 nucleotides or are they having 10 to 60 nucleotides, and depending upon the number of repeats, how many times they are repeating, but how many times they are repeating, are they repeating 20,000 times or are they repeating 5 to 50 times. On these differences, we have divided the satellite DNA into mini satellites and microsatellites, and we told that mini satellites are used for DNA fingerprinting technology, whereas microsatellites are used for genetic mapping and DNA sequencing we discussed. And then I tried to explain you what is polymorphism. We are telling polymorphism is the main basis or the main principle behind DNA fingerprinting technology also, and polymorphism is the main principle behind genetic mapping also. Now, we need to understand what is polymorphism. We need to define what is polymorphism. I took an example like if I am writing the board with 4 different colors. If I am writing the board with 4 different colors, means I am changing one line with this color, one line with this color, one line with this color and one line with this color, means I am trying to give a polymorphic appearance for the board or to my notes which I have written there. In the same manner, polymorphic DNA means, so where it is different in one person to another person. The reason for polymorphism, we told it is mutation. Now, these mutations happens in body cells also, happens in germ cells also, reproductive cells also. Mutations happen in body cells are not transmitted, whereas mutations which happen in the germ cells through the sperms and the egg, they are transmitted to the next generations, and these are transmitted to the next generations. And polymorphic DNA, if we try to tell it in terms of alleles, allelic frequency variations, they are. We told morphism, polymorphism means variations, allelic frequency variations in a population. If it is more than 0.01%, then that is polymorphic. And these polymorphic DNAs can vary from one base to many bases. If they are changing in one base, we call them as single nucleotide polymorphisms. If they are changing in many bases, then it's called polynucleotide polymorphisms, right? Till there we discussed in the previous lecture. Now, in the last lecture of this chapter, so let us discuss the remaining process of DNA fingerprinting technology. Here we need to discuss about the steps of DNA fingerprint technology and the applications of DNA fingerprinting technology. Let's go with the steps of DNA fingerprinting, right? So, we are looking into the steps now, right? So, if we have to perform DNA fingerprint technology, first of all, you need to isolate the DNA. So, what is the first step? Isolating the DNA. From where will you isolate the DNA? It might be a blood cell, it might be a hair cell, it might be a skin cell, it might be a bone cell, sometimes from the crime spot if you get saliva from there, or from the sperm also. Sperm also has DNA, right? So, from there also, wherever, whatever we get which is having DNA, from there we will try to isolate the DNA. That is the first step. What's the first step in DNA fingerprinting technology? Isolation of the DNA, right? First step is isolation of DNA. And from where are we isolating the DNA? We are isolating the DNA from any cell like blood cell, WBC, right? RBC doesn't have DNA and nucleus. We can take it from blood cell. We can take it from a hair follicle. We can take it from the skin also. We can take it from the saliva, or we can take it from the sperm also. So from these cells, we are going to take out the DNA, isolate the DNA. That is the first step. And after isolating the DNA, if you came to know that the amount of sample what you have isolated is very less. It is very less. It's not sufficient to conduct the DNA fingerprint technology. You know, you have an instrument. The name of the instrument is called PCR. What is the name of the instrument? The name of the instrument is called PCR. I think during corona diagnosis, have you heard of a technique called RT-PCR? As a diagnostic technique, RT-PCR comes positive, means the person is COVID positive. RT-PCR technique comes negative, means the person is COVID negative. You might have heard there, RT-PCR, right? So let's not talk completely about RT-PCR. There I am picking PCR. Polymerase chain reaction. PCR, this technique will discuss completely in a chapter called biotechnology. There it is there I'll discuss completely. Now PCR means it's a polymerase chain reaction. It's an instrument. The name of the instrument is called thermal cycler. As I told you, I'm not discussing PCR completely here. I'm just giving you a briefing about that. This PCR technique in detail we will discuss in chapter number 11, biotechnology. Okay. There's a machine. The name of the machine is called thermal cycler. In that thermal cycler, if you give the DNA, it will amplify and it will give you back. How many times you want, those many times it can amplify and it will give you back. Means it is polymerizing your DNA, it is multiplying your DNA. That's what you want. The DNA what you have isolated from the crime spot, from these particular cells, if it is very less in amount, we can increase the sensitivity of the technique. NCERT says we can increase the sensitivity of the DNA fingerprinting technique with the help of PCR. So what PCR is doing? Yeah, it is multiplying and it is giving you many number of copies. You got very small amount of sample, don't worry. Take the sample and give it to the PCR machine. It will multiply 1,000 times also. It will multiply. It can give you 1 billion DNA copies also. It can give you 1 billion DNA copies also, right? So that's a magnitude what you can multiply the DNA. That's what NCERT says. The sensitivity of the technique can be improved by using PCR. So when they're telling the steps, they did not write PCR, because from the sample, if my DNA what I extracted is too much, then I need not do PCR, right? So that's why they did not mention in the steps. Now after isolating the DNA, what is our next step? We need to cut it, right? If you want to identify the differences, you need to cut it. Means how to cut it, with which enzymes we will cut? We will digest with the restriction endonucleases, with the restriction enzymes. So our second step in DNA fingerprinting technology will be digestion. It is digestion of the DNA with restriction enzymes. Digestion of the DNA with restriction enzymes. So when you digest the DNA with the restriction enzyme, then what do we get? So we are taking the DNA, I am taking a scissor, restriction enzymes are called molecular scissors, right? They cut the DNA in a precise manner. Wherever you want, there you told, I want a cut here, it will cut it. I want a cut here, it will cut it. So then what does it generate? It generates fragments, right? It generates fragments, right? Now those fragments should be separated out, right? So then our third step will be separation. Separation of the DNA fragments. Now what is that technique which is used for separating DNA? It is called as agarose gel electrophoresis. So our third step is separation of the DNA fragments by agarose gel electrophoresis technique, right? So I am writing here the third step is separation of DNA fragments. Separation of DNA fragments. By which technique, ma? By agarose gel electrophoresis technique. So we are separating the strands by a technique called agarose gel electrophoresis technique. So we are into DNA fingerprinting technology. The steps are, the first step is isolating the DNA from the cells. Whatever sample you have, from there you need to isolate the DNA. After isolating the DNA, if you came to know that the sample is small, go to PCR, it will amplify and it will give you. Then the second step is take the DNA and digest the DNA with restriction enzymes. That is the second step. After digesting the DNA, what you get is small fragments. Separate the fragments basing on their size using a technique called agarose gel electrophoresis. Using a technique called agarose gel electrophoresis. See here. So these are the chromosomes, right? This is a picture which is there in NCERT. I just took the same picture so that it will be helpful for you to read, to understand. Same picture, I just copied it, right? So here, this is the crime spot DNA. This is the DNA from the crime scene they gave. And these two are the suspects. Suspect A, these are the chromosomes. Suspect B, these are the chromosomes. Amma, they can take all the 23 pairs of chromosomes and they can show. But this board will not be sufficient, right? So if we just check few chromosomes, it will give you an idea, right? So that's why randomly they have taken 3 chromosomes, right? 7th chromosome they picked, 2nd chromosome they picked, 16th chromosome they picked. Okay, so same chromosomes from individual B also they have taken, 7th chromosome, 2nd chromosome and 16th chromosome. And this is a crime spot DNA. This is a crime spot DNA. Again same 7th chromosome, 2nd chromosome and 16th chromosome. First they isolated the DNA. So they isolated the chromosomes. That's the first step. Then afterwards they digested it. They digested it at specific sites, I told. So where do we digest? We digest with restriction enzymes. At specific sites we will digest. When we digest, we will get the fragments. See, these are the bits. We will get the fragments. These fragments are separated by using agarose gel electrophoresis. Chromosome number 7. Chromosome number 7 of individual A. Chromosome number 7 of individual A, pair, right? Diploid condition, right? Means the 7th chromosome is 2. One is from his father, the other one is from his mother. So this is a paternal chromosome, this is a paternal chromosome, this is the maternal chromosome. Similarly, this is the 2nd chromosome, this is paternal from father, from mother. Again, this is 16th chromosome from father and from mother. So from father we call paternal chromosome, from mother we call maternal chromosome. Same here also. Now, when we digested it, now 7th chromosome, we are digesting at VNTR, that we will see afterwards, okay. So, tandem repeats we are telling, right, repeated sequences. Now, on paternal chromosome, 7th chromosome of individual A, how many repeats are there? How many repeats are there? Here NCERT shows there are 3 repeats. That's what I wrote it here, 3 repeats. Now, maternal chromosome of individual A, 7th chromosome is having how many tandem repeated DNA sequences, repeated DNA, how many it is having? It is 4. See, 1, 2, 3, 4 I counted and I wrote here. So, if you see the 7th chromosome, on the 7th chromosome, paternal chromosome is having 3 tandem repeats, repetitive DNA sequences, and maternal chromosome is having 4 tandem repeats. Similarly, you do for person B, individual B. Take the same 7th chromosome and then there also check how many repeats are there. Now, from this person's paternal chromosome, there are 11 repeats. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 repeats are there. And next chromosome, maternal chromosome, 9 repeats are there. 3, 3, 6 plus 3, 9. 9 repeats are there. So, when we digest it, you are getting 3 repeats here, you are getting 4 repeats here, you are getting 11 repeats here, you are getting 9 repeats here. Do the digestion for the remaining chromosomes also. So, when we do for the 2nd chromosome, the number of repeats here are 8, the number of repeats here are 7. If you see here, here also the number of repeats are 8, the number of repeats are 7. Again, come to 16th chromosome, again digest with restriction enzyme. Now, for person A, 16th chromosome, paternal chromosome has 5 repeats, maternal chromosome has 10 repeats. Now, the person B, 16th chromosome, paternal chromosome is having 5 blue color dots, 5 repeats. Maternal chromosome is having 2 blue color dots, 2 repeats. Okay. So, one more thing. So, when we have checked when we have digested individual A DNA and we have digested the individual B's DNA, so it doesn't mean that like they are changing, means it's variable. The tandem repeats are variable for all the chromosomes. See here. The 2nd chromosome of this person and this person matches. So, how I am telling it is matching? Because the 2nd chromosome, here you got 8 fragments, here you got 7 fragments. Similarly, for person B also, here you got 8 fragments, here you got 7 fragments. Means it's variable also and it might be similar some places also. To tell that, they gave us this condition, whereas here it is different and here it is different. Okay, so at one or two places if it is variable also, it's enough for us to identify. Right. Now this is a crime spot DNA. You might have identified by this time, right, who has committed the crime. So this chromosome number 7 is having 11 and 9 repeats. With whom it is matching? Here it is 3 and 4 only, means the person B has committed the crime because he is also having 9 and 11 repeats. Crime spot DNA also has given 11 and 9 repeats. Chromosome number 2, if you see 8 and 7 repeats, it will not give you any hint because this person also has 8 and 7, this person also 8 and 7. Coming to the 16th chromosome, 5 and 2 repeats. Here also 5 and 2 repeats, right? So till here we have done digestion, we have done. After that they are asking us to do gel electrophoresis, agarose gel electrophoresis, which is a separation technique. What we need to do, from red algal cell walls, we will get agar powder. We will get agar, which is a solidifying agent, right? Agar is extracted from the cell walls of red algae called Gelidium and Gracilaria. Agar contains agarose and agaropectin. Take that agar powder, mix it in the distilled water, boil it. When you boil it, so then after that you bring it, take a tray, pour it and cool it. Then you will get a gel, solidified gel you will get. So they have prepared a gel here and one small gel here. One big gel to load the DNA fragments of person A, to load the DNA fragments of person B. A separate small gel to load the fragments of person C. So like that you have prepared a gel for person C. You prepared a gel for A and B. So I told you how to prepare agarose gel. From where do we extract the agar? We extract agar from the cell walls of red algae, which is a solidifying agent. Take the gel, dissolve it in water, boil it, pour it in a tray and cool it, it will settle down. Now here these are called wells, places where we load the sample. Load these fragments, these fragments are loaded here, these fragments are loaded here and these fragments are loaded here. Then after loading, we need to do gel electrophoresis. So this is the gel, you loaded the sample here. All these fragments, we loaded here. These fragments are loaded here. These fragments are loaded here. After loading it on the gel, we need to do gel electrophoresis. That's what I told. We need to do gel electrophoresis. What is electrophoresis? Separation of charged particles when they are subjected to electric field. Separation of charged particles when they are subjected to electric field is called electrophoresis. Okay, now when we keep all the fragments here, when you load all the fragments here, now they start moving. And they get separated based on their size. The one which is fat, the one which is having more number of bases, so it will be here itself. It will be separating very slowly. Whereas if the fragments are small, then they'll move fast, right? So you have seen here 3 fragments. 3 fragments means, so I wrote here, see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Means the one which is having 3 fragments, from here it has moved fast. 3 fragments, the one which has moved fast, whereas 4 fragments, it is slightly ahead. So matching to 3, I took this, matching to 4, this is matching to 4 and this is matching to 3, right? So when we do gel electrophoresis, what is meant by gel electrophoresis? First prepare a gel, load your sample, subject it to the electric field. When you subject it to the electric field, then DNA is a charged particle. DNA, nucleic acid, acidic charge it has, minus charge it has. So then the charged particles start moving in an electric field. Again, gel electrophoresis technique also we'll do it in detail in biotechnology chapter only, chapter 11 only. Okay, I'm not doing it here because it becomes even lengthy. Okay, and you don't know also how to cut it and write it if it is a descriptive question. So when you subject them to electrophoresis, then basing on their size they get separated. See, thinner person runs fast, the fatter person like me can't run fast. So if a fragment, if it is having 10 bases, if it is having 10 repeats, or if it is having 11 repeats, if it is having 9 repeats, if it is having 8 repeats, so it can't move fast. So see, the red colored ones for person B, which is having 11 is here, which is having 9 is here, means it is near to the loaded place only. Whereas 8, the green color is having 8, I matched the 8 with 8. Now it is having 7 fragments, 7 is here. Then blue one is 5, yeah, I matched with 5. And 2 fragments, it is here. Means you can make out that if the fragment is smaller, it moves faster. If the fragments are more, it will be here itself. Now they will get separated. That is what is our third step. What did we write in third step? We are separating them basing on their sizes. Okay. Separating the DNA fragments by using agarose gel electrophorese. These are the agarose gel electrophorese. We got the bands. After separating them in agarose gel electrophorese, it is a double stranded DNA, no? The digested DNA is double stranded DNA. Now we need to do alkali digestion. So here itself we will write down, after separating them in gel electrophoresis, go for alkali digestion. Means keep it in a solution which is having NaOH or NaCl, right? If you keep it in a solution which is having NaOH or NaCl, alkali digestion, now what happens, you know, the double stranded DNA, the hydrogen bonds gets broken up and this DNA becomes separate. They get separated. So when you do alkali digestion, so these are the DNAs, they are linked by hydrogen bonds. The hydrogen bonds gets disturbed and the DNA becomes single stranded. Now it gets separated out. So that is alkali digestion. This step they didn't mention, they forgot to mention in the NCERT textbook. Okay. Now after that, what did they tell? They told separate these fragments. They asked us to Southern blotting. Transfer the DNA fragments. Transfer the DNA fragments from gel. Now where are your separated fragments? The separated fragments are on the gel. They are asking us to separate the DNA fragments from gel onto nylon membrane. You can transfer it to nylon membrane or nitrocellulose membrane. NITRO. Nitrocellulose membrane. Now this technique of transferring the gel from transferring the DNA from the gel to an NC paper, NC membrane or nylon membrane is called Southern blotting. It was developed by a scientist called E.M. Southern. So that's why the technique is called Southern blotting. So what is this technique called? Southern blotting. The technique is called Southern blotting. So what are we doing in the fourth step means, so after the DNA gets separated, after you make them into single strands by keeping it in alkali solution, we want those DNAs to be transferred onto a paper, onto a membrane. Why? Because gel is fragile, no? If you just lift the gel like that, it will break into pieces. Then this much what you have done went ruined. It's of waste. So that is why before doing that, what will we do? So this is the separated gel. This is a separated gel where the DNA fragments are like this. Now I'll take a nitrocellulose paper, nitrocellulose membrane. Paper is hard only, it is rigid only, right? So when compared to the gel, now we'll take a paper, we'll keep on top of this, and on top of this nitrocellulose membrane, I'll keep so much of weight. So when I keep weight, what happens? Because of that weight, this presses and the DNA gets transferred from here to here. That technique is called Southern blotting. So we are just blotting the DNA bands from the gel onto the NC membrane. This is the gel and this is the NC membrane. That's why it's called Southern blotting technique. Why are you not leaving them on the gel? Because gel is fragile. We need to transfer them from the gel to a nitrocellulose membrane. This technique was developed by E.M. Southern. So it is called a Southern blotting. That is a fifth technique. Now, after doing Southern blotting, your bands got separated onto the nitrocellulose membrane. Now we need to identify it, right? So for identifying, we will now hybridize the bands with labeled VNTR probes. So next step will be hybridization of DNA fragments. We are hybridizing the DNA fragments with VNTR probes. Now, what is meant by VNTR? VNTR stands for variable number tandem repeat. VNTR, what does it stands for? It stands for variable number tandem repeat. It is a repetitive DNA. So, it is repeating highly, it is getting repeating. Variable times it is getting repeating. So, that is why we call variable number Tandem repeats. What is tandem repeats? If I am telling like 80, 80, 80, 80, 80, continuously 80, 80, 80, tandemly I am repeating. So that's called variable number tandem repeats. The repeated sequences, the repetitive DNA sequences are repeated like that it seems. So we call them as tandem repeats. Okay. So though at the tandem repeats only you digested, right? At the tandem repeats only you have broken it, right? Now if you want to identify it, so then tandem repeated complementary probes you have to give. So those probes can go and bind to those single strands. So our next step is, so we told here we have done alkali digestion, the DNA got separated like this. The DNA fragments got separated like this. Now in the next step, we transfer it onto the nitrocellulose membrane, we transfer it to rigid surface, we told. After that, we are hybridizing these fragments with VNTR radio labeled probes. We are hybridizing them with VNTR radio labeled probes. This is a VNTR radio labeled probe, it goes and binds there. This is a VNTR radio labeled complementary probe, goes and binds there. So see, it has bound here, it has bound here. So this is what is called converting the single strands into hybrid molecules. What is this called? Hybridization. With what are you hybridizing? With variable number tandem repeated probes you are hybridizing. Now when you hybridize it, what is the next step? The next step is detection. Detection of the hybrid DNAs. Detection of the hybrid DNA fragments by doing autoradiography. What is autoradiography? Now we'll take this and we'll keep it in front of the X-ray photogram film, and these radiations will come here and they will be trapped, right? That technique is called autoradiography. So the last step will be detection of the hybrid DNAs. So seventh step will be detection of hybrid DNAs. Detection of hybrid DNAs using a technique called autoradiography. Using a technique called autoradiography. Now these hybrid DNAs, when you keep it on the X-ray photograph film and you pass X-rays, then it gives images on the photographic film. It gives bands on the photographic film. So what we are seeing is an X-ray only. What we are seeing is an X-ray only. What you are looking at, the bands are bands. They are hybridized DNA bands, right? So now this banding pattern is the fingerprint of person C. This banding pattern, that's what they told. So amplified repeats are separated by basing on their size on the gel. They will give the DNA fingerprints. First we will separate them on the gel. From the gel we will transfer to membrane. From the membrane, on the membrane we will give radio labeled probes. Convert the single strands into hybrid molecules. These hybrid molecules are exposed to X-ray photographic films. This technique is called autoradiography. They will give bands on the X-rays. The bands appear like this and we will sit and we will compare the bands, right? So these bands are exactly matching with this person. The fingerprint of the suspect is matching with B. See, this red is matching, green are matching, blue are matching. But the red of this person and this person are different. Green might be same, but again, blue is also different. So these are the fingerprints of A, B and C. So comparing, that's what I told in the starting of the technique, like we are not doing the sequencing from alphabet A to A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, X, Y, Z, like that we are not doing, which is a very expensive task, time consuming task. And so instead of that, we will just compare. See, we compared here. So when we compared here, we came to know that this person is nothing but this person. So means the B only has committed the crime because his DNA is matching with the DNA which is available at the crime spot. So children, these are the steps of DNA fingerprinting. Did you understand? Did you understand the steps of DNA fingerprinting? So again, let us see. First one is isolating the DNA. You need to isolate the DNA. From where will you isolate the DNA? From the cell. What cells are available? It might be a blood cell, it might be a hair cell, skin cell, saliva cell or sperm cell. So isolate the DNA. After isolating the DNA, if you came to know that the amount of sample is very less, go for polymerase chain reaction. It can amplify and it can give you 1 billion copies of DNA also. Do that. After that, take the DNA, digest the DNA. You need to cut the DNA. The enzyme what you are using is restriction enzyme. After you cut, you will get the fragments. See, you got 3 fragments here, 4 fragments here, 8 fragments, 7 fragments, like that you will get the fragments. Now, those fragments should be separated in a technique called agarose gel electrophoresis, which will separate the bands basing on their size. Smaller fragments move fast, bigger fragments move slow will be on the top itself. Separate the fragments using agarose gel electrophoresis. After that, convert the double stranded fragments into single stranded fragments by subjecting to alkali treatment. When you do alkali treatment, then like NaCl or NaOH if you go, then what happens? NaCl2. When we do that, the bonds will break and it will become single stranded fragments. After that, transfer the DNA fragments from the gel onto NC membrane, nitrocellulose membrane, nylon membrane. Why are we using nitrocellulose membrane only? Why not another chemically reactive paper or methylated paper? Means nitrocellulose has very much affinity for DNA. It can easily attract DNA. When you are pressing it from the gel onto an NC membrane, this paper should have attraction to take the DNA, to trap the DNA. So that's why we will choose that paper which has attraction to take the DNA. What is that technique called? Southern blotting. Who developed that? E.M. Southern. So that's why it's named after him, Southern blotting. We will transfer the DNA fragments from the gel onto NC membrane. Technique is called Southern blotting. After that, convert these single strands into hybrid molecules by treating it with VNTR probes. What is VNTR? Variable number tandem repeated probes. Then these hybrid DNA molecules are finally detected by using autoradiography, and you will get the bands on the X-ray film. You will get the bands on the X-ray film. Now the bands what you get on the X-ray film are called as DNA fingerprints. DNA fingerprints are unique for that person. DNA fingerprints are unique for that person. This fingerprint pattern you will not get for anyone else. Like my fingerprints are unique, my DNA fingerprints are also unique. Like these DNA fingerprints are unique for this particular person, except for monozygotic twins who came from the same sperm and same egg. Identical twins we call, right? Only they will have the same gene. They will have the same DNA. They will have the same DNA fingerprints. Except them, no one else will have the same DNA. No one else will have the same DNA. Understood? Understood. So like this, this we went with criminal detection. I told it is used in paternity testing also. How can you use it in paternity testing? So we will tell, here is father, here is mother, here is child. This is father. Okay, if you want, take a screenshot. Yes. Now you took the screenshot. Now I want to change this, right? I want to change this. I want to show this, like how can you go with paternity testing? How can you go with paternity testing? I want to show. Now C means child. Okay. C means child. A is father and B is mother. Now we digested father's DNA, mother's DNA, child's DNA. Now we told if this child belongs to the same father and mother, 50% of the child DNA matches with the father's DNA, 50% of the child DNA matches with the mother's DNA. So then we will do, so we will think that they are the same pair, father and mother, they belong to the same child. Yeah, father has given, father got 2 bands like this. Okay, and okay, mother bands are here, and these are the other bands of the father, other bands of the mother. So father's DNA got 4 bands, mother's DNA got 4 bands. Child will also have 4 bands. Child will also have 4 bands. Out of these 4 bands, 2 bands of the child will match with father, 2 bands of the child will match with mother if the child belongs to the same father, right? So let us match these red color bands with the father. Let us match the blue color bands with the mother. Now see. So this band, this band is matching with this band. This band is matching with this band. And this red band is matching with this band. So means out of the 4 bands of the child, 50% of the bands are matching to the father, 50% of the bands are matching to the mother. Means, so these are the biological parents of this child. These are the biological parents of this child. Sometimes when the parents are not having an ability to produce the children, they adopt the children. Or sometimes like, what is that? Artificial insemination. They borrow the sperm and they do it, right? It comes under IVF, ET techniques and all those things. So at that time when you want to check whether the father is a biological father, whether mother is biological mother. So in paternity testing, in family disputes, so this is a technique. What is that? DNA fingerprinting is a technique where we can use to identify whether the child belongs to same father or not. See, this is matching with the father. This is also matching with the father. This band is matching with the mother. This band is matching with the mother. So it's concluded that the child belongs to the same parents. Understood? So this is about the steps of the DNA fingerprinting technology. Now if we need to talk about VNTR, let us see what is VNTR. Then we will talk about the applications of DNA fingerprinting technology, right? Can I erase it? You already took the screenshot, right? Now we will talk what is VNTR. I told VNTR stands for variable number tandem repeats and it belongs to a class of mini satellites. So VNTR stands for variable number tandem repeat. So variable number, here it is 3 times repeated, here it is 4 times repeated, here it is 11 times repeated, here it is 9 times repeated. Is it variable? Do you agree? Yes. Tandem repeats. There is nothing between these two. 80, again 80, again 80, 3 times. So that like that it is repeating. It's called variable number tandem repeats. And so VNTR, it belongs to what? It belongs to a class of mini satellite DNA. It belongs to a class of mini satellite DNA. In the previous lecture we discussed what is microsatellite and mini satellite. It belongs to a class of mini satellite DNA. It is a small DNA sequence that is arranged tandemly in many copies. What is VNTR? It is a small sequence of DNA. It is a small sequence of DNA which is repeated tandemly, many a times, 3 times, 4 times, 8 times, 7 times. It's a small DNA which is repeating many a times, and this VNTR is giving a pattern called RFLP. They will tell RFLP. You know what is RFLP? Restriction fragmented length polymorphism. It goes with restriction fragmented length polymorphism. From the starting of the lecture we are telling polymorphic DNA. Now when you digest the VNTR fragments, with restriction enzymes, so you are getting fragments, restricted fragments you are getting of different lengths are fragments of 3, fragments of 4, fragments of 8, fragments of 7. So length, which is making the DNA polymorphic. So that is what is called RFLP. VNTRs, when you digest it, then you will get a pattern called RFLP, restriction fragmented length polymorphism. And this copies, the copies, they are varying from chromosome to chromosome. The number of copies 3, number of copies 4, like that. The copies, VNTR copies, they vary from chromosome to chromosome. Can you see? In this chromosome there are 3, in this chromosome there are 8, in this chromosome there are 5. They are varying from chromosome to chromosome, and they are varying from individual to individual also. Same 7th chromosome, in this individual there are 9 copies and 11 copies. So copies vary from chromosome to chromosome, and from individual to individual also they will vary. Correct? They vary from chromosome to chromosome, they vary from individual to individual. The number of repeats show high degree of polymorphism. The size of the VNTR, what is the minimum size, what is the maximum size? Minimum size is 0.1, maximum size is 20 kb. The size of VNTR, the minimum size is 0.1 kb. The maximum size is 20 kilobase pairs. It is the size. then we are telling this VNTR, this RFLP gives a unique pattern, gives a unique fingerprint of a particular person, and it will not match for any two people unless and until they are identical twins, monozygotic twins, right? So with this we finished what is VNTR, we finished the steps. Now coming to the applications. We can close the chapter if we finish off applications. Now in applications we are seeing it is helping in forensic science, right? Criminal investigation, right? It is used to solve paternity testing, right? We did that also. Father testing, paternity testing also we can do it. And I told in evolutionary biology, tracing out the evolutionary history, it is used. So it is used in evolutionary biology. It is used. And to find out the genetic diversities, we can use from population to population. To find out the genetic diversities, we can use. And to find out the population diversities also, or to determine the population diversities also. To determine the population diversities also we can use. All these are the applications of DNA fingerprinting. What are the applications of DNA fingerprinting? We can use it in forensic science, criminal investigation. We can use it for paternity testing. We can use it to trace out the evolutionary biological background. We can use it to find out the diversities, and we can use it to determine the population diversities. Population diversity, from one population to one population, how much genes are different, how are the VNTRs different, what is the size of VNTR. Every point, every line of NCERT we covered. With this, we finished a big chapter called Molecular Basis of Inheritance. Hope you like the lectures. So, any suggestions, you can post them in the comment box. So, like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.